beginning not later than the first IEP to be in effect when the child is 16 and updated annually thereafter, appropriate, measurable, post-secondary goals based on age-appropriate transition assessments related to training, education, employment, and, where appropriate, independent living skills. The transition services, including courses of study needed to assist the child in reaching those goals, and beginning not later than 1 year before the child reaches the age of majority under state law, a statement that the child has been informed of the child's rights, if any, that will transfer to the child on reaching the age of majority.
So what does all of that mean? Well, one of the main purposes of the IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, is to set a student with disabilities up for success in life after they've left the schoolhouse doors, up through potentially the age of 21.
Well, and that's one of those things, and this whole mandate, this portion of the IEP, which is required by federal law, is also one of those areas where you do need to look at your state, because your state may require transition services to start at younger than age 16, but they can't require them later than age 16. Your state may actually have a quirky little rule about what is the age of majority, so that impacts the transfer of rights, which we're going to get to in a second. But ultimately, how long into adulthood your child may be entitled to services is a question of state law. There are some states where it goes up to age 25. So it depends on your state. But ultimately, why this portion matters and why it's mandated is because, as Julie said, one of the key reasons we have this statute is to get students who have disabilities ready for life, get them ready for adulthood so that they can be as productive as is reasonable to expect in that next stage of life. And so in order to get there, we require transition services. And not only do we require transition services, and we say transition with a capital T because we mean transition into adulthood, right?
Not between buildings.
No, right, or from math to English. I mean, transition into adulthood. Transition services are required, but not only are they required, they're required to be explained in writing in the IEP before the child turns either 16 or younger, depending on your state. And it's also required that you identify that you've explained to the child that at a certain point, those rights that the parents hold for the student until the student reaches the age of majority are going to transfer, and how that's going to happen.
Yeah, there's an awful lot to transition, and it's an area unto itself, which can take up a lot of time to explain. But I think the most important thing to know is that in the IEP, there is a federal mandate to have an entire section that recognizes what those transition services are going to be.
And what we don't want to see happen is you're just checking off a box saying, yes, we've talked about transition. There should be a good description in the IEP document. And as your child is getting a little closer to those teenage years, it's a good idea to look at where on the document those transition services are going to be outlined.